friends! This is Michael. This is my spouse. You've probably seen him in my other videos. Tell me what you want.
So, we're going to take this old jersey that you made, that kind of like...
I made that. That's
lost
why
its
it's
shape
junk.
or whatever. Anyways, so we're still going to use the fabric, because it's wool. So, I'm asking for sleeve arm warmers, really, in particular, and gloves. We're going to make gloves out of this. Well, she's going to make it.
Yeah, but they're for your hands, so you gotta stick around.
Okay.
So, when it comes to the arm warmers, I think that's gonna be easy. I'm just gonna, like, cut the sleeve and, like, maybe make it a little bit tighter, and then put the silicone elastic in the top. And that's, ta-da, an arm warmer, because that's, what is an arm warmer but a sleeve that's not attached to a body? The gloves, however, I have never sewn gloves before, so this is gonna be fun. I've knitted gloves, but I have not sewn them. So, what kind of gloves are you looking for?
So, I'm looking for glove liners. So, something super thin that I can wear inside or under another lightweight glove, making the lightweight glove a little better than before.
I have a pair of glove liners that we are going to examine. These are mine, I bought them. I found a tutorial online, which I will link below, and I'm going to be following this tutorial from Instructables.com, written by somebody named Ice Tigress. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna try it. It looks like the first step is going to be covering Michael's hand in duct tape. Pick a hand. We're putting the rubber glove underneath the duct tape so that the duct tape doesn't actually stick to his hand.
Okay. Hand is inserted. Doesn't show us how to do that, really.
Don't want any hair stuck to this duct tape because that will probably hurt to take off. Definitely like splay your hand. That would be better, I think.
Well, I didn't see any directions for this.
Coat your hand in tape. Put a disposable glove on your non-dominant hand and layer strips of tape all over the latex glove. Have a friend help you if you can. It's easier. Make sure you get a nice thick layer all over your hand, especially between your fingers and around joints. Alright, that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna cover your hand in duct tape. In the name of love.
No love.
I love you for your dirty jokes. We have a license for that. I didn't actually cut you. Does this feel weird?
It does.
Feels weird?
Yeah, I worry I'm not going to be able to get it off.
Well, I'm gonna have to cut it off with scissors.
It's frightening.
Do you trust me with scissors close to your hand? I'm not sure you should be married to someone you don't trust with scissors. I know I'm gonna have to put some little strips between my fingers. This even looks bizarre. I think I still gotta put a strip over the end of your thumb. I want to snip that between your fingers.
Trim some of this. Okay, down.
Okay, there's one more thing I want to do. I'm going to make sure this is nice and tight, and I'm going to wrap a band around the wrist. Ugh, duct tape is kind of hard to work with. Okay, did I get... You feel like a robot? Okay, so did I get everything covered?
I think you should snip this.
Okay, I'll try snipping that.
Without cutting it. Maybe I should snip it.
Okay.
Because you can't feel it. That's scary.
Yeah, I don't want to cut your fingers.
No. Just leave it there. That's awful close. I'm putting a piece of tape there.
Okay, one more piece of tape in here.
Same one. Go this way.
Once you have coated your hand in tape, trace a line from the tip of your pinky down the side of your hand to your wrist. This will be your trank seam. Tip of the pinky to the wrist. Alright, does that feel like it's appropriately on the side of your hand?
I can't feel it. How does it look?
Trace a loop starting from the tip of your pinky that follows the side edges of your fingers and the outer edges of your finger webbing. What you want to end up with is a strip of fabric that goes from the tip of your index finger to the tip of your pinky and is about the width of the side of each finger. So it's going to go until about here. And then I'm going to trace back again. Sorry, I know it's awkward, but like, the whole point of making a video is to like have, you know, this stuff on video. So if we're like, you know, not in the field of view of the camera, there's no point, right? Even if it's slightly awkward. And now I draw around the thumb. And I draw a line up the inside side of the thumb. Like that. That's what the instructions look like. And then I cut.
The moment we've all been waiting for.
The trank line, the first line that we drew, that's where we're gonna cut. Do you trust me with scissors close to your hands?
Yeah, I'll let you know.
I'll go very slowly. Scream if you think I'm gonna...
Hold on.
Do I have flesh?
Mm-hmm. Maybe I can do it. No, I can't see it. Is this helpful? Oh. Okay.
Do you think you could slide your hand out from this point? Maybe if I help by pulling
no,
on
it's
it?
still too tight.
Too tight? Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna come off. Cause can't pull. Oh, maybe. Come on, grab the thumb.
Now we have a glove.
Sort of.
A glove pattern, kinda.
Not yet. We still gotta finish cutting, right?
Yeah, I gotta cut the rest of all the lines that we drew. I'm probably gonna end up putting a seam here too. But,
Why?
you know,
Did you see the patterns? That's what you're gonna look like, right?
Yeah. But you know what? My gloves here. Oh, they don't have a seam here. There's no seam here.
No seam? There's a seam down his index finger though.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know if that's like decorative because like this part is
It might be.
got the tactile surface. I don't know. That's really interesting.
Am I done?
For now. I'm gonna need you back later.
Alright.
In the meantime, I am gonna finish cutting out the fourchettes, trank, and thumb. I have no idea how to pronounce fourchettes, fourchettes, fourchettes. I'm not French. I'm pretty sure that's a French word.
Fourchettes.
Are you sure it's not fourchettes?
For shizzle.
Gotta hand it to you.
Oh! Yeah, okay.
Now go drink your coffee, take a nap, whatever you do. Hey, Michael? Can you put duct tape on the grocery list?
Can. I'll start one.
I started one. It's on the refrigerator. I put gloves on it. Because we used our last rubber glove for this. Well, this is awkward. This is really awkward. Hard to cut. Okay, so like I don't want to use my good fabric scissors on this, but also these are my paper scissors, and my paper scissors kind of suck. They just might not cut it. The next step in glove making
I want a diamond ring, I want some bracelets and everything.
is to trace the patterns that we have made out of duct tape onto paper. Since these items are not that large, you could probably get away with taping 2 pieces of computer paper together. Hands are not flat objects, but we are going to do our best to flatten these pieces so that they better fit onto paper. It might be a good idea to label which hand this is. That way you don't forget. And that way you also know to make a left and a right. The thumb is very, very round. So I added these little snips here, which will become teeny tiny darts. In order to make it truly properly round on top and not flat and weird. Now, these patterns are going to be, like, the left and right are obviously mirror images of each other, so after we have them all finished, obviously you would just flip it over to have the right side. But you can cut to if you really want to. This could be a good idea if you have hands that don't match for some reason. Yeah, so the thing is, these aren't going to look perfect with each other because none of your fingers look like each other. That's how we grip things. I'm just going to true up some of these edges, make them a little neater. The recommended seam allowance is only 1/8 of an inch, which is about what I see inside of my liner gloves. So I guess that's what I'm gonna do. Doesn't look like much, but my gloves are not serged. And I guess as long as the material in question is not super prone to fraying, it shouldn't matter that much. I have my pattern pieces cut out, and obviously I'm not going to use the intended fabric to make the mock-up because there isn't enough of it and it's good stuff. So what am I going to use instead? I have an assortment of old t-shirts and whatnot, and I'm going to make a mock-up out of that. I'm thinking that I probably only need to make one glove mock-up because Michael's hands are symmetrical as much as one can be expected as, you know, a human being. So I'm just going to cut out one mock-up. And I should point out I have not done the wristband yet, and the reason for this is because I want to have the hand part down proper before making the band, because the band is just a rectangle, and once I have the hand done, then I'll just draw a rectangle that is the correct size. Yes, I am recording. So keep in mind, this is a rough draft. This is not the final product. Please try this on. Give me your opinion.
Yeah, so glove liner, as you might recall, is meant to be wearing more under other gloves. So here we go.
It's a left hand.
No.
It looks like poop, doesn't it?
My fingers are not this short.
Okay, so let's talk about this. I think what happened is, so on this pattern that I made, some of the seam allowances, like they sort of touch and overlap each other, which ends up with the slit being up here and then trying to like sew that. And I think I'm gonna have to make sure that I cut all the way down into the seam allowance before I sew it, so that the fingers are actually long enough. The fingers are actually as long as his actual fingers, because having the finger crotch here is just weird. Let's not do that. But other than that, what do you think of the shaping, etc.?
You mean other than it's shaped wrong?
I mean, like, this part is wrong, obviously, but like,
This should probably be smaller, tighter.
well, I haven't put a band on it yet. I'm gonna do that.
Well, even here. So it doesn't matter if it's tight here. All this bulk here needs to go away.
Okay.
Well, maybe the fabric will be more spandexy, and that'll help.
I mean, I tried to use like a shirt that was closely in texture to that fabric.
It's imperative that this is like a very form-fitting glove, so not to take up space.
Right. It's always the little things that end up being so difficult. Not to say that you have little hands.
Of course not. Going Marco Rubio on me.
Are you making a political joke?
Maybe I am. Sorry.
I don't mind. At this point, anybody that has been watching my videos probably knows where I fall on the spectrum. Just saying. What do you think of the thumb specifically? Is it fine? Does it need anything else?
I think the thumb works pretty well.
Cool.
I think. Yeah.
Okay. At least the thumb is good.
Thumbs up.
I would like you to take your left hand and hold it against the pattern. Like in approximately where it should go.
Mm.
Like, I want your tips of your fingers to be up there, if you could. And what I'm going to do, as best as I can anyway, is I'm going to draw against your fingers. So I have a better idea of where that should be. Can you do the other side too? That way I have a better idea of how long the slit between the fingers should be. Oh yeah, I guess I could trim some of that off. I don't want it to be too tight. Yeah. All right. Now you are dismissed.
Okay.
Thank you, darling. Okay, so this line that I drew here, I'm going to smooth that out a little bit. And then add seam allowance to it. I wonder what if I just like added seam allowance here. Like draw this line like that. And then add some seam allowance. And do that for all the fingers. Same stuff I did on the rough draft. This time I'm starting with the thumb, actually. I decided it would be easier to do it that way, so that's what I'm doing, starting with the thumb. As you can see, Michael is injured, so we have to film him down here. Try on the glove. Try on the glove. Definitely better than the last iteration, yeah?
Yeah. I mean, all my fingers are busy. Big blobs.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to.
Too much.
What are you going on about?
This is probably too wide,
Oh, okay.
or something else.
Yeah, I was also thinking that, like, this area, maybe, like, this fourchette doesn't have to extend all the way there. It could just sort of end here. And the same on the pinky as well. And yes, I still think that I would like to split here and have a seam so that this side and this side are straight, I guess, as opposed to being both of them slightly on a diagonal. I think that's the diagonal is kind of funny. So that's what I'm gonna do, is that. And then I will try making the fourchettes a little slimmer and then deleting these parts of them. Are we in agreement on this?
Yeah.
Cool.
Better for sure.
Yet another iteration. Drawing the line here so that I can separate the palm from the back of the hand, like I mentioned earlier. This is actually where the point should be, so I'm drawing a new line from this valley to this mountain here, and I'm gonna draw a new line from the valley to the mountain. And I'm not terribly concerned actually with the seam allowance at this point, because I'm gonna end up trimming off the seam allowance because Michael said that he wants his fingers a little narrower. So this is where the new one is going to be, and I'm going to trim off the rest of that. So I will do that right now. You can see it. See? That's what that finger is going to look like. Oh, and this area. We decided that we were going to trim down from each end so that it's not quite so long and bulgy on the fingers. So I'm going to make a nice point there. And I should write on here, this is the pinky. All right. Okay, so this is what my new left fourchette looks like. Oh, I should probably write on here that this is the index finger. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do here, I'm a little lazy, is I'm going to take a piece of tape and I'm just going to tape over that edge. So that it's about 1/8 of an inch bigger there. So we have that little bit of seam allowance. And then I'm just going to trim that. Now I have seam allowance on this side, and I'm going to do the same to that side. gonna let that out.
Any directives?
The directive is that you put that glove on your hand.
Oh, look. Getting fancy. Oh, we are getting close. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah? Yeah, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Let me try on one of my other gloves. This is a liner meant to go inside of another glove.
Heck yeah. Be right there.
This is about the same thickness as the wool, right?
See those crutches? I gotta get that glove for him.
Oh, look under the neck cabinet. No, that should work. These were the most restrictive gloves. And there's another like lighter pair in there, maybe. Yeah, give me each one. Well, yeah.
And you want these too?
Sure. So many gloves.
No cold hands here.
Yeah, this feels good.
Yeah?
Yeah. It might even work with this one, but I'll have to wait and see. I'll have to wait till next winter, it looks like. Because we are going to have above average temperatures in December. And I probably won't be riding in January either. So yeah, I'm stoked.
So I guess.
Maybe I need to put a tab here.
Oh yeah, so I will end up putting a cuff here. It won't just be like open like that. But yeah. So if you like the way that the thumb and the fingers and the palm feel, then I'm gonna try putting a cuff directly on that. And then after that, if you like that, then I will work on our fabric.
Cool.
It is time to draw the cuff. I think I am going to cut off of the glove. Maybe, honestly, not a whole lot because I do still need a seam allowance there. So I'm going to cut off like a 1/2 inch around the bottom. And then I'm going to measure the seam allowance because it'll actually be slightly up from that cut edge. To measure approximately 1/4 inch because I am actually going to serge the cuff on. And so this is about 3 1/4. 3 1/4 times 2, 6 1/2, plus the 1/4 inch seam allowance on either side is going to end up being exactly 7 inches, which feels like a very strangely whole number. I don't like it, but I measured, so that's what I'm going with. And how deep do I want this cuff to be? So you saw it on my husband's hand earlier. Putting it on my hand now. Do I want a cuff that's about 2 inches? Or is it too long? Maybe I want the cuff to be 1.5 inches. That's what I'm going to go with. Drawing the... Oh, you know what I didn't do yet? Update my pattern pieces. I gotta cut those off. Let's do that before I get into that measuring thing. So I cut off a 1/2 inch. So I'm gonna draw in a 1/2 inch. And I'm gonna cut it off. As I was saying, drawing the cuff isn't strictly necessary because it's just a rectangle, so you could just write down the measurements that you want to use. But I want to make sure, like, I like to visualize it, I guess, is what I'm saying. So let's see, 1.5 inches doubled is 3, plus the 1/4 inch seam allowance on either side is going to end up being 3.5. I'm going to square up 3.5 inches from each end of this 7-inch line. Okay, and now I just have to complete the top of it. Let me tell you a secret. If the only thing that you see on camera is my hands, it means one of two things. Either my lab is really messy, and I don't want you to see it, or I'm in my pajamas, and I don't want you to see me. Guess which one it is today? Today, it is neither, actually. This is a mock-up, so I'm just using the thread that's on the serger already and tying on one last one. You may be wondering why I've chosen to serge the cuff, and that is because this area of the glove is probably going to get like the most tugging and whatnot when putting on the gloves. Having the serging there just ensures that it will stay in place the way we want it to for longer. So I'm going to start by serging the side seam of the cuff. Then I'm going to take this cuff and fold it in half. I think I want the seam to be like in this area, so that's where I'm going to put it, around the outside. It's easier actually to have the foot on the inside of the glove. I guess I better trim that off.
Clearly, Russia likes to see this discord in the United States and the disagreement, especially within the Republic.
I'm filming.
Of giving any more money to Ukraine at all. And by the way, Russia, I believe.
That's world news isn't important anyway.
I mean, it is, but
My gloves are important too. So.
try it on. Look at this little cutie. All right, what do you think of the cuff?
It's great.
The cuff is the new part.
I didn't pick it up. It's cool. Feels good.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
We shall proceed. Before I get to pinning the pattern pieces onto the fabric, I'm gonna cut this jersey apart so it's easier to do that. Hole in the armpit. Got to preserve the sleeves though, because we're gonna use those later. I'm glad that I decided to make the jersey with the fabric facing out on both sides of it. So the front of the jersey here is actually like doubled fabric, 2 layers, and they're both facing out. So one was facing the world and one was facing the body, which is super convenient for me because I don't have to cut them apart. I can just pin directly to it. thing that I am going to do is I'm going to separate the pieces and make sure that I know which is which and they do not get mixed up. So I have these little pieces of paper on which I wrote what each piece is, and I'm going to pin it to them. That way I will not get them mixed up with each other, and I will definitely keep the rights and the lefts separated. I could do this with chalk or like something like an air-off pen, but I don't have one of those. That's all. I don't know why I don't own chalk. My official order of operations is thus. First, the inner side seam, then the thumb darts, after that, thumb insertion, then I will do the fourchettes, starting with the pinky. After that, I will do the final fourchettes seam, then I will do the cuff side seam, and then I will attach the cuff. That's the plan. I have decided to use the maroon thread to sew this. I think it would look better than the like bright red, because this is sort of more of a dark red than a bright red. And I have also decided that I am going to sew all of one glove and then all of the other. That way I definitely can't get them mixed up, because they just will not touch each other. Start by sewing the side seam of the hand. Of all the fabrics that I have sewn on for this pattern thus far, this red fabric is the nicest to work with. It's like it wants to stick to itself. Finally, time to do the cuff. I'm wondering if I should put a little pin in the middle here, just so I know where the middle is and I can put the seam exactly there. That's what I'm gonna do. hold the cuff and inspect it to make sure that I got all the layers cut. His hands are just a little bigger than mine, so they'll probably fill out the glove a little better. Hey, wait a minute. I got one more thing to do. You're mostly obscured by your cast under the blanket. Okay, so what needs to happen is I need you to take your arm out of your sweatshirt and then put the sleeve on so that I know whether or not I need to take it in any.
So I guess this was like this originally.
Is that upside down?
I'm assuming this was the, no, because this is really tighter down here.
No, I mean like the seam would normally be like on the underside of your arm,
No.
but I mean it doesn't matter, I guess, for an arm warmer. A little shorter. I was gonna cut off this cuff here, so if you don't need that, then I'll have it. I gotta have at least a little bit to sew to the elastic. But yeah, so.
Trim it here probably.
Oh really? You don't want it to go all the way up there?
I wouldn't mind. I mean, this feels pretty good. There's a gap here.
I don't know that it needs to be tighter in this area, but definitely this area.
Guess I better get back to the gym.
Oh, you're fine. Okay. So I'm gonna measure. Well, how much do you want to trim off? Like 2 inches?
Oh, yeah, I don't want it up in my armpit for starters. And I'll have a sleeve over this,
Right.
so it doesn't need to be way up here.
Okay. So I will measure about. That's more than 2 inches.
You sure?
That's
Two and a half?
almost 3. I'm gonna go with 2 3/4. So I guess I'll measure around your arm.
Another Marco Rubio moment.
You'll have to explain that little joke to me. So this is 11 1/4. So 11 1/4 is how big the elastic's gonna be, and I'm gonna make sure that the top here is 11 1/4 around, and then like narrow it down to fit to about the elbow area.
Yeah,
I don't
this
know.
is about,
I don't know that it needs to be any tighter in the elbow.
it wouldn't hurt.
A little tighter in the elbow? Okay. 2 3/4 inches away from the shoulder, 11 1/4 inches around. So I'm gonna use the up here I'm gonna use the silicone elastic, the same stuff that I put in the bottom of the jersey. Do you think I should put that here? Do most arm warmers have that?
You can look at the other ones I have. I think they do. Probably not. I just need a band or something.
Or I could leave the cuff on. It's a little messy though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I want to cut that cuff off.
Cuff.
Okay, so that's the plan. These are the arm warmers that I mentioned, or he mentioned. Anyways, so on the inside, this is the top. They do have that silicone elastic, and this is the bottom, the wrist, and it does not have any elastic whatsoever in it. So I guess a hem is perfectly acceptable. Gotta cut off the cuffs. I'm gonna make this on just a little bit of an angle so that it isn't like higher in the armpit than it is out here. That would be funny. And what I'm gonna do is put this one on top of this one and make sure that they match. And make sure that the ends down here are nice, neat, and tidy. And cut up here. I don't need to trim a whole lot off. I'm just going to trim a little bit. I'm basically just going to like trim off the seam allowance here and have a new seam allowance here, because it doesn't need to be a whole lot littler. It doesn't need to be a whole lot smaller. So that's what I'm going to do. And then when I get to the elbow around the middle here, then I'll taper off. I believe our agreed upon measurement was 11 1/4 around the upper arm. So I'm going to measure the elastic to just under that, so that it has to stretch just a little bit to go around him. So I'm going to cut 11 inches of elastic. I'm going to butt the ends of the elastic up against each other and sew right over them. I don't want a ton of bulk here because that would be kind of uncomfortable. And I'm using the like multi-stitch zigzag. The one that's like 3 stitches makes a complete zigzag, whatever. Using a traditional, the zigzag stitch. The fabric wants to stretch. Don't let it stretch. The elastic has to stretch a little bit. I don't know if I ever mentioned what this is made of, but the fabric is mostly wool with a little bit of spandex. Why wool? Because it has definitely superior ability to keep a body warm compared to synthetics. I mostly feel complicated about wool because it is in fact vastly superior to synthetic, but also is an animal product. May or may not be better for the planet than synthetics. It's probably not better for the sheep unless like you got pet sheeps. But it is used, and generally I don't have a problem with making things for other people out of fabric that they have chosen for it. I am using the triple stitch zigzag here because it's actually stretchier than cover stitching. Too close?
Well, you can't really see the whole garment. Why it needs a cuff.
He measured. Well, I measured, but he told me where to measure. He wants a cuff? He's gonna get a cuff. Actually makes it a little bit easier for me. Alright, so the wrist end of the arm warmer measures precisely 3.5. Convenient. Alright, so double that is going to be 7. So exactly 7 inches cuff. My bad, not 2.5. 5. 5 by 7. That's what I need to do. 5 by 7. 2 pieces of 5 by 7. 5 this way. And that's 14, which is double 7. And now I get to cut this in half. Yay! I am, of course, first going to serge the side seam of both of them. Next step is to put the cuff around the arm warmer. I'm going to line up the seams almost. That way there isn't a ton of bulk in exactly one spot, but they are more or less in the same spot. And again, it will actually be easier to put the foot on the inside. This fabric does have a tendency to roll, so I have to be very careful to not cut off a lot of it, thinking that I'm only cutting off a millimeter, but it is actually in fact rolled. And there we have a cuff on the arm warmer. Merry Christmas, friends. It is now time for Michael to open his gift. Sorry about the knitting needle. These two are the important ones.
You ready?
Yes,
You've been recording this whole time?
I am, yes.
This is why your editing is... Ah, yes, my gloves. Mm. It fits so nice.
It's all that editing I did on them. Oh, and the other one.
Mm. These must be armbands. Mm. Very cool. So the winter riding or shoulder season, real much nicer. Should I try them on?
Sure.
Mm. Cool elastic with the grippies. Oh, the cuff is way nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent.
These feel good. Thank you.
I'm so glad you're happy.
Yeah. You're the best.
Happy holidays, friends.